That reading we heard from Carl Sagan is truly striking. More than 30 years ago, he stood in this very pulpit on this very day and told us that pulling even one thread in the tapestry of the planet's life could unravel the whole thing. You probably remember what he said. We are part of that web. We are dependent upon it. And yet, we are profoundly ignorant about the connections. The connections. Everything is connected to everything. And he said that 30 years ago, when climate change was called global warming, and most people weren't worrying about it. It's even more striking that 20 years before that, the Episcopal Church began using a Eucharistic prayer, the prayer at the heart of the Holy Communion service, that spoke of this planet, this earth, as this fragile earth, our island home, this fragile earth. Here's the whole sentence from the prayer. It says to God, "At your command, all things came to be. The vast expanse of interstellar space, galaxies, suns, the planets in their courses, and this fragile earth, our island home." People made fun of that prayer when we began using it at first, and many still do. They called it the Star Wars prayer. It was so ahead of its time that it seemed like science fiction. But make fun of it or not, 50 years ago, we Episcopalians were standing before God and recognizing just how fragile it is, this earth, our island home. The people of Florida and Georgia and Tennessee and the Carolinas, they know how true it is that this earth is fragile. They've seen for themselves how connected we human beings are to all the other pieces of the puzzle. And we watch from a distance at what they are learning. But the lesson is meant for us all. The tapestry can so easily come undone if we pull just one wrong thread. St. Francis of Assisi found his way from Assisi into our gardens, even our tiny New York City gardens. He stands there in a window box, or he sits there perched on a bird bath. We've domesticated St. Francis. We've even made him cute. But St. Francis was the Carl Sagan of his day. It's all a web, it's all a tapestry, and every thread is knotted with every other thread. St. Francis knew it. He felt it. And most of all, St. Francis was in love with the weaver of the web, the weaver of the tapestry. St. Francis could not look at the creation and not see the Creator, and he could not contemplate the Creator without marveling at the creation and how tightly the Creator is woven into it all. So ask the people in Florida, in Georgia, and Tennessee, and the Carolinas, and they will tell you that we are all part of a web. They will tell you that Sagan was right. They will tell you that St. Francis was right. Finally, people are seeing that the tapestry is coming undone because we grabbed the wrong thread and yanked. What is troubling is that knowing that we still won't let go of the thread, or we just don't know how. I've heard so many people tell me that the current climate crisis terrifies them, not so much for themselves, but for their children and their grandchildren, and they just don't know what to do. Those children and those grandchildren belong to all of us, even if we have not given birth to them. Even childless cat ladies know that the children belong to us all. And all of us, even us childless cat ladies, struggle to know what to do. And the animals. Already we've made this fragile earth, our island home, a place where entire species cannot survive. Innocence, our animals and our children, these innocents are inheriting an unraveling that we caused, once unwittingly, and now knowingly. We know full well what we're doing. After our liturgy today, a handful of us clerics will take to the lawn out there, and people will bring us their companion animals to bless. The pets are lovely, even the snakes. But what is truly lovely is the love. People love their pets for all sorts of reasons. And to be honest, as a person who is not a fan of snakes, I sometimes wonder exactly how they love them so much. But they do love them. And today on the green, I will see that love, and again, it will astound me. And somewhere I think all of us are asking, what kind of a world are we leaving for them? I mean, not them, not the pets that we bring here today, but innocents like them, their animal children, that will live on this fragile earth, our island home, long after all of us are gone. Not one of us today wants them inheriting a world coming undone, a cosmic tapestry coming unraveled. So, what do we do? Now, if we were not in New York City, if we were living far from here, even an hour from here, really, in another part of this country, I can imagine that I might say to you, we need to buy electric cars. Well, who in New York City has a car? I could talk about not using up more fossil fuel than is necessary to heat our apartments by keeping them at a nice low temperature in the winter. But none of us in New York City have any control over our heat. I could talk about disinvesting from companies that disregard this planet in our stock portfolios. But the truth of the matter is, even though this is New York City and Wall Street is a stone's throw away, most people do not have stock portfolios, and certainly most people do not manage their stock portfolios. So what do we do? There is not a person here today who does not want to do something for children in generations to come, and children even now who in enormous parts of this world are suffering because of climate change. There is not a person here today who does not want to do something for animals, great and small, cuddly and lethal, in decades and centuries to come, and animals who even now are suffering even to extinction because of climate change. But knowing what to do we know what to do about it all? I know of only one thing that I know all of us in this room can do, even if we don't have cars or thermostats or stock portfolios. The only thing I know that we can do is vote. In just a month, the most important, most consequential election of our lifetime, if not in the lifetime of our republic, will be upon us. And the state of this fragile earth, our island home, is on the ballot. And the future of the children who are part of its lovely fabric. And the future of the animals who are woven into its web. St. Francis didn't know how to honor God without honoring God's creation. And he did not know how to love the creation without loving the God who created it all. So, if he were here with us today, just 1 month from the election, what would St. Francis do? If he were in our shoes right here, right now, what would St. Francis do? And for those of us who are Christians, there is another question. But before I get to that, let me say, before I ask that final question, that I know many of you here today do not share our Christian faith. And yet, you have chosen to be here with us today. And that you have chosen to be here with us today, those here who are not Christians, you honor us by being here. It is an honor and maybe a wonder that you chose to come here today, because it seems, and probably for good reason, it seems that people trust the church less and less all the time. But you came here today. You came here with your hearts full of love, and you decided to trust us. And we are enormously grateful. This cathedral was founded as a house of prayer where all people could come. So your presence here today, you who are not of our Christian number, your presence is exactly what makes this place what it is. It's why this cathedral is here. And so your being here makes us feel like we're doing the thing that we were founded to do. So thank you for being with us. But now let me just have a word with my Christian sisters and brothers. It's good to wonder what St. Francis would do if he were in our shoes in this time, in this place. But the real question is, what is Jesus, the living Christ? What is Jesus trying to do in the world today through us? St. John the Divine, our St. John the Divine, is the author of one of the four Gospels. The Gospels are narratives about the meaning of Jesus' life, and there are four accepted by all Christians. St. John the Divine begins his Gospel this way. He speaks of Jesus as the Word of God. And St. John writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being." Jesus, St. John the Divine tells us, was there when God began the evolution that has brought forth everything that is. We cannot imagine what God's evolving creation will become. All we know is that we are here at this point, at this tiny moment in the evolution of creation. All we can know is that Jesus, the Word of God, is not dead but lives, and that the evolution continues in him and through him. And we know that Jesus made us partners with him in his ongoing, ever-evolving creative work. What would St. Francis do? But more, what is Jesus trying to do at this moment in creation? And so, as we move toward the ballot box, just 1 month from today, what should we do for the sake of the animals we love and the children we love, and for the sake of this fragile earth, our island home?